Welcome to Developing Intellectual Character to Effectively Teach Mathematics. Becoming a teacher of mathematics requires certain intellectual characteristics. For example, knowledge of mathematics. This is number one. We can't teach what we don't know. Persistence. We need to persist in gaining the understanding of the math that we're going to teach and the methods for teaching it with the goal of student learning. Positive attitude. Positive attitude toward learning and toward change. Readiness for change. We need to embrace change, to see ourselves as change agents. Reflective disposition. As will be expounded on in a later slide, we don't learn from experience, we learn from reflecting on that experience. If we don't already have that disposition, we need to develop a reflective disposition where no matter what happens, we ask, what happened? And what can I learn from what happened? Ability to transfer understanding. If we are unable to transfer learning from one situation to another, we have not actually learned. Yes, we are able to parrot back certain information, but we're not able to use that information. We have not actually gained understanding. These characteristics will be further explored in the following slides. Becoming a teacher of mathematics. The mathematics you will learn in this course will be foundational for much of your math instruction that you do in your classroom for the next decade and beyond. I take your role as teacher of mathematics seriously, as I know you do. Therefore, from the onset, I will list and then describe the characteristics, habits of thought that you will need to succeed as a teacher of mathematics. As is cited in the above slide, the intellectual character that is first and foundational is a knowledge of mathematics. Becoming a teacher of mathematics requires mastery-level understanding of the content and the concepts that we are responsible for teaching in the next generation. Knowledge of math is a superpower. It is our superpower and the superpower of our students. Teachers need this superpower to teach math well. To have math knowledge is to have a profound, flexible, and adaptive knowledge of math content. Maybe you don't consider math one of your strengths. This course is meant to help you build pre-K through grade 2 superpower knowledge of math. Teachers need superpower in math because, unlike other subject areas, like reading, exploring nature, learning about communities, the school effects of math are great. Unlike other subjects, where students have frequent interactions with their families or others outside of school, what we do in school is often the only math many students get. Yes, there are parents who consciously integrate math when interacting with their children. For example, they might count floating objects in a bathtub or number of carrots to put on a plate. They might measure a child's height on a wall chart. And we're thankful and we want to encourage these parents. However, for many students, the exposure that they have to learning math concepts will only come from you. A goal of this course is to help you make changes in your depth and flexibility of understanding that you would be better prepared for this responsibility, for this role in the lives of your students. Later in the course, we will work through how to gain that superpower. Becoming a teacher of mathematics requires persistence. I don't need to tell you about persistence. You wouldn't be taking a graduate level course if you didn't have persistence. If you are like many elementary teachers and much of the U.S. population, you have some anxiety and avoidance when it comes to math. You'll need persistence to stave off your frustration. This is the very skill that our students will need as well. This is also a topic we'll discuss further. As you go through the course and work through problems yourself, you will learn methods and strategies that will help you anticipate the barriers to students' learning, and you'll identify strategies to help students pass these stumbling blocks. What works for you as a learner will work for your students. We need to demonstrate persistence through struggles so that our students can follow our lead, and they too will persist through their struggles. Opportunities to struggle is an important part of learning. And like Albert Einstein said, it's not that I'm so smart, it's just that I stay with problems longer. Although recent brain research suggests that persistence through struggles actually does make us smarter. Becoming a teacher of mathematics requires a positive attitude. When teaching any subject, it's essential that we arm ourselves with a positive attitude. Research shows that teachers with positive attitudes result in students with positive attitudes. If in our hearts we say, "I never liked math," our students will know it, and the way we teach will show it. The good news is that research also shows that changing attitudes toward math is relatively easy, and that change in attitude can be long-lasting. As your understanding of mathematics grows, so too does your enjoyment of math. Not only can we acquire a positive attitude toward math, it's essential that we do. Readiness for change. Becoming a teacher of mathematics requires readiness for change. Look at math again for the first time. You'll probably find that what appears familiar is now unfamiliar, and conversely, what was unfamiliar will become familiar. Be ready to change. Be ready to change the way you talk about math, the terms you use, the vocabulary, the way you talk about various subjects. For example, you may have always referred to addition as making something bigger, but this is inappropriate because it's not always the case, and it's misleading, and it leads to misconceptions and misunderstandings, partial understandings. Though you have used addition for years, become familiar with more precise language, such as we use addition to join quantities, to separate quantities, to express part, whole situations, and to compare quantities. Readiness for change also includes a focus from procedures to topics. Be ready to focus on concepts rather than procedures. Be ready to change the emphasis from memory to meaning. Readiness for change may require you to unlearn much of what you were taught in math class and to relearn math as concepts and understandings. Be ready to learn what mathematics can be, what mathematics should be. In addition to changes in language and vocabulary and changes from procedures to concepts, be ready for changes in the questions that we ask. Be ready to change the types of questions you ask. Ask more why and how do you know type questions rather than what's the answer. Ask for more open-ended questions rather than questions that require one-word answers. So language, changing from procedures to concepts, changing the questions we ask. Also be ready for a change in the problems that we pose. Be ready to change the types of problems we pose. Rather than problems that you find in a book or online, be ready to compose real-life problems, problems that call on students to think and struggle, rather than so-called problems that call for plugging in memorized procedures. Readiness for change in the way we view with students' struggles. Be ready to respond to students' struggles in a different way. No longer think about rescuing students or making them feel comfortable, but rather see struggles as a way to empower students as they work through their own struggles and frustrations. That is how they will be empowered. So, readiness for change in the words we use, in the focus towards meaning, in the questions we ask, in the problems we pose, and dealing with struggle. We teachers need to understand that the world is changing, and we need to change with it. No one can make you change. You can only change yourself. And when we change, we'll find that change is an opportunity to do something amazing. Reflective disposition. Becoming a teacher of mathematics requires a reflective disposition. Well, how does this disposition apply to math teaching? It requires us to look back, to look at what is, and to look forward, look at what can be. Take time to be self-conscious and reflective. Reflect on what is, reflect on what can be. Stephen Linhard wrote, "If you don't feel inadequate, you're probably not doing the job." We all have feelings of inadequacies, and as we reflect on those, we can grow. No matter who you are, reflect on what you know, on what you understand about math, that you might learn more about it and more about teaching math. The ability to reflect on our present understanding and on the understanding of others is critical for growth and development. As Dewey said, we don't learn from experience, we learn from reflecting on experience. And Moon reiterated, we fail to make meaning from experiences until we reflect on those experiences. Surface learning is void of reflection, whereas deep learning requires reflection. And there's brain research to back this up. When we reflect, brain activity actually increases and the brain builds new neurons. Expect to observe and reflect to become a better math teacher every day. Ability to transfer. Becoming a teacher of mathematics requires the ability to transfer our learning to situations other than those where we first learned particular concepts. Ability to transfer is one of the most important goals in education. We want students to use the understanding that they've gained in school. We want them to transfer that learning to outside of the school immediately and also in the future. We want them to transfer what they learned in one situation to another situation. The question is, can we? Can we make generalizations? Can we build connections between the known and the unknown? Can we make applications to new situations? If we're not able to transfer our learning, we have failed to capture the heart or the core of a concept, and we've only acquired surface knowledge, not understanding. For example, when you were little, you may have mastered tying your little brown shoes with cotton laces. Then you got new shoes. The new shoes were bigger, and they may have had white nylon laces. Chances are you had no trouble transferring your shoe tying skill to the new larger shoes with different laces. You had no trouble transferring your shoe tying ability because you had learned that skill. The same with math. When you understand how to count pieces of candy, you are also able to count birds on a wire, friends in the park. In this course, the way your learning will be measured is by your ability to transfer learning to new situations. Becoming a teacher of mathematics means that we have the knowledge of the math that we teach. We have the knowledge of the math that we teach. We are equipped with math superpower. We have the power to see what students need to learn. Math teachers are persistent. Persistence poster. Learning math and changing dispositions takes persistence. Working through frustrations and struggles and math anxiety takes persistence. Ambition is the path to success. Persistence is the vehicle you drive in. Math teachers need a positive attitude toward math, toward learning, toward change. The ones who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones that do. That's what Steve Jobs said. Adopt a positive attitude. Believe you can, and you're halfway there. Dr. Dwayne Dwyer said, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. You can learn to love math. Believe it. Math teachers are ready for change. Get ready. Get ready to change your attitude toward math. Get ready to unlearn much of what you were taught in math class. Get ready to relearn concepts based on understanding, not procedure. Be ready to change in your ability. Get ready for those aha moments of understanding. Get ready to face a world that's changing. Get ready to change with it. Get ready to view change as an opportunity to do something amazing. Math teachers are reflective. Reflect on what is. Reflect on what can be. Develop the disposition that all experiences are incomplete until we reflect and learn from those experiences. Go beyond surface learning to in-depth analysis. Increase your brain activity. Get smarter. Let a reflective disposition guide you to become a better math teacher every day. And finally, math teachers have the ability to transfer their understanding to different situations. Ability to transfer is one of the most important goals in education for both students and teachers. Consciously work on increasing your ability to form conclusions based on evidence, the ability to make generalizations to different situations, and to apply your understanding in different ways. Your ability to transfer your learning of the goals set out in this presentation will be evidenced by your growth in these areas throughout the course. Coming attractions. Your next assignment serves as an introduction to Common Core. The phrase Common Core refers to standards for language arts, science, and mathematics, whereas Common Core states standards for mathematics is one of the Common Core within that set. Your next assignment will serve as an introduction to the Common Core in general, and then specifically to the Common Core state standards for mathematics. These are also referred to as CCSSM. Note that next to the Submit Now is a 1-3 probe standard. You will download this document and follow the instructions found therein. In this probe, you'll watch videos and then record your interaction with those videos by writing a reflection. Guiding questions are given to lead in that reflection. Having completed your reflection, you will then interact with the reflections written by your peers. I know you'll do great on Probe 1-3. If you wish, and feel free to watch this presentation again, or if you wish to listen to the audio version. I look forward to meeting with you again next time.